I'm Steve with the Shoebill Studio, and this is a review of the Berserker Walkers small box expansion for Zombicide White Death, which is a Kickstarter exclusive. So what makes the Berserker Walkers special? Well, they are only killable through melee actions, meaning they are immune to magic and range damage. You can also kill them with effects that eliminate all zombies in a particular space, but other than that, you gotta get up toe-to-toe with them and kill them with a melee combat action. Let's talk about what this expansion does well. First and foremost is the pressure that it puts on you as a player to develop a team comp. You can't just stack a bunch of rangers that will sit on your battlements and snipe down at the zombies. You really have to pick some folks who can get in close and do that melee damage. In addition to that, your positioning on the board becomes very important because you need to be considerate of where your melee fighters are. If you've got a particularly problematic zombie spawn and you have no melee combatants near that spawn, you may need to think about getting survivors over there to deal with walkers that have spawned or may spawn in coming rounds. There is a tension to the Berserker Walkers, especially when they come out onto the table early. You don't necessarily always have a good way to deal with them, and so sometimes they can sort of like clump up against a battlement, and then all of a sudden you have a siege card that pops off, and now they're on top of the battlement killing all of your guards. That's exciting and feels fresh. But now let's talk about some of the things that this expansion doesn't necessarily do that well. And chiefly amongst those is that while the Berserker Walkers do have a little bit of flavor, they don't have a lot of flavor. They are still just a walker. It's not often that you don't have a melee survivor on your team, and so really the only time that I ever felt like these guys were making a big difference on the board is when I got multiples of their spawns across different spawn points, sort of within consecutive turns. Now, that didn't happen in every playthrough that I had, so in those playthroughs, it was pretty vanilla. They didn't really affect the gameplay much at all. I think when it comes down to it, the Berserker Walkers are certainly not game-changing in any sense of the phrase. They're more just sort of a cherry on top, maybe something to combat the battlements in a homebrewed scenario that you've come up with. If you're a collector, I think this will probably resonate with you because you'll want to have all of the different options. But as far as how this affects gameplay and whether or not the mechanic of having a walker that only can be killed with melee is really enough to warrant a, expensive exclusive purchase, I would say it doesn't. If this mini review was helpful to you at all, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. We do mini reviews like this, as well as deep dive, long form reviews, buyer's guides, and video essays weekly on the channel. So thanks again and have a good one. Cheers.